Thank you very much. This is my ESP LTD MH327. As you can see, it's got 27 frets. And it's been very heavily modified. I love it that much. I actually own two of them. So yeah, a little bit greedy, but hey ho. I think a few is a bit of an understatement. I have way too many. Literally every single guitar in this room is literally LTD. I don't use any other brands, and I think what really got me into LTD, so one of my favorite guitar players ever is a guy named John Sano, who is the music director for Sega and writes all the music for the Sonic the Hedgehog video games. And he uses ESP guitars, and when I found out that they did like a more of a budget range that you could get like internationally, which is the LTD brand, that's really like what got me into like LTDs. Obviously, when I got into the brand, realizing how incredible what kind of artists they had, where I discovered that they had like George Lynch from Dokken, and also obviously rest in peace the incredible Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom, and of course as well the guys from Metallica as well. So the band was formed by our lead singer Rob Wild, and one of his dreams was to basically, he's always been like quite the aficionado to like 80s hard rock music, and he wanted to basically like create like the ultimate like 80s hard rock band, but in like the modern day like era, pretty much. And I was like one of the first guys he like got in the band because he found me on YouTube, because I do like a bunch of like, I have a YouTube channel where I do a bunch of like video game music, but I do a couple of like 80s hard rock covers. And I was basically the first guy to join the band, and he saw my image, so I got like the long blonde hair, and like he really liked like my style of playing and everything, so I was like the first guy he like got. And we released like the first album that went out, which is the self-titled album. It was back in 2017, I think 2017 when it first started, and then nowadays we're up to like album number 5 at the moment. It's just been absolutely incredible. But generally Rob pretty much like wanted to create like the ultimate 80s rock album. Ready to go. Definitely like my favorite like song of the album. It was like so much fun like recording it, and it was very interesting. It was like a first time for me trying this, but so one of my favorite guitar players, what another favorite one of mine, I love Steve Stevens. Of course, and for those who don't know, obviously he's like the guitarist for Billy Idol, and he also did the all the guitar playing on the Top Gun main theme. But it was a very, very good excuse for me to get like little toy like ray guns and just do the whole and do all like the silly like noises and stuff like that, basically like through my guitar, which is obviously on the single. And yeah, that's like one of my favorite songs off the album anyway. Absolutely, once again, incredible guy, just phenomenal player. So Archer's song was a song written by our keyboard player Sean Charvette, and so he just recently had a baby boy named Archer. So he just wrote like a little like instrumental like interlude piece of music for his song that was like featured like on this latest album. You know what? Reception has been absolutely fantastic. Really cool. Loads of positive feedback. Everybody loves the new album. Of course, it really does help that we had the phenomenal like Chris Laney who mixed the album. And for those who don't know, Chris Laney is one of the guitar players from Pretty Maids. So yeah, amazing guy. Such a cool dude. And yeah, he mixed the albums, and it shows, I think for myself and all the guys, this is our like best sounding album, to date. Okay, so of course, ready to go. When recording, that's what was the time when I got my ray gun out and do the little ray gun noises and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so that's the main riff from Ready to Go. This guitar is in E flat, and in Midnite City we tuned to D standard, but it's basically all in D minor. So one of my favorite tunings, I do enjoy playing in E flat, just because it makes the strings just like a little bit looser, really easy for like doing like crazy like bends and vibrato. So that's one of my favorite tunings. But with Midnite City, we're playing D standard, and so the strings are like a little bit lower. So I had to like increase like my string gauge, like tension, basically. So I've got to play like a little bit thicker strings. And the main gauge, I can't remember the numbers on the top of my head, but basically the Diodario, but the red NYXLs, the red set anyway. That's pretty much the gauge that I use. I love Diodario strings, man. I've been using them literally since, let's see, well, in fact, here's an interesting thing. So today's my birthday anyway. Thank you very much, man. Yeah, so 38 years old today, and I've been using Diodario strings since I think I got 17 years old. So that's how long I've been using Diodario strings. Yes, there was actually. So obviously, if you can tell, if you can see that from the T-shirt, it says Satch Vi. So obviously, I love Drew Satriani, Steve Vai. But it was mainly Drew Satriani, because Satriani uses Diodario. Steve Vai uses Ernie Ball, but it was mainly like Satch that like got me into like using like Diodario strings. Not gonna lie, like when I first started playing guitar, I used to use Ernie Balls, and they're a good brand, but like I just found them like snapping quite a lot. And when you do a really sweaty show, and the strings like get like really like crusty like really quickly, I found with like Ernie Balls. But Diodario, I was like, amazing, man. Like in my opinion, the best like strings on the planet, hands down. So I'm very, very fortunate, and I'm very, very lucky that I am endorsed by one of my favorite pickup companies ever. And that is Damasio Pickups, and it's such a true honor to be part of like their like artist like roster, but basically Damasio Pickups, man. And I've like loved them ever since like I first ever heard them, which funnily enough was actually Iron Maiden, like when I was like a very young teenager. I loved Iron Maiden, and I found out that they were using Damasio Pickups, the Super Distortion more specifically. But then obviously as I've got older and my music taste is like evolved, every artist I've like loved, you do your research, always ends up being like Damasio Pickups. So I got into like Dream Theater, I went to a big like prog metal phrase in my life. So once again, John Petrucci using Damasio Pickups. I obviously love Drew Satriani, Steve Vai, once again Damasio, Yngwie Malmsteen. I loved Yngwie Malmsteen. When I got into him, first time I got into him, I was like 17 years old. He was using around the time Damasio Pickups. Now he's with Seymour Duncan, but it's this weird thing where like no matter what records I like love or anything, I do my research and it ends up being Damasio. Oh, and Def Leppard as well, of course, Def Leppard. Yeah, Damasio Pickups are the best, man. But this particular guitar, I have the tone zone in the bridge and the Air Norton S in the neck position. And basically this is the same pickup configuration that Van Halen used throughout like the 90s when he first started using the Music Man Wolfgang models. So bridge position, very good for like doing rhythm, very very chunky. So and then of course for solos on the bridge position. On the neck position, which is very very fluid, a bit like having like a opera singer like built into the guitar. Jon Snow, pretty much. He's like the guy who like started it all off. Pretty much the main catalyst that like got me into the whole like 80s hard rock, and how I came across this music. So so I got Sonic Adventure for my Dreamcast like years ago, and when I started playing the game, obviously you hear the song "Open Your Heart" by Crush 40. And it was just like one of the coolest, greatest songs like I've ever heard in my life, man. Because bearing in mind, this is around a time when there was no internet, and the only kind of like rock music I pretty much had like around that time was like Kerrang. If you can remember the channel Kerrang. But the problem is, around then they weren't playing any of like any like hair metal, any 80s stuff. It was all bands like Limp Bizkit, Korn, Slipknot. It would occasionally show like Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses, but 80s hard rock, when I was a teenager, trying to like, listen to it, find a way to listen to it. When you got like, you're a kid, you're too young to have a job, so you can't really, buy CDs. So it was just crazy, man. But yeah, Sonic Adventure, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing, man. It's so good. And John is like one of my biggest inspirations and biggest heroes. And on the soundtrack, basically has a lot of like famous 80s hard rock singers from like classic like MTV like hair metal ball bands, basically. So Johnny Gioli from Hardline, Ted Poley from Danger Danger, Tony Harnell from TNT, just like I name a few anyway. Let's see, let's try it. Open Your Heart. Not the best, but yeah. So at the moment, I am literally... So from my guitar, from the cable, and it goes straight into my Line 6 Helix. And then the main like tone I'm getting for like all the distortion. Once again, very lucky, very fortunate. I'm endorsed with ISP Technologies, which is the company that do the very famous and world's greatest guitar noise gate, the Decimator. But I'm using their like pedal preamp called the Theta preamp pedal, and it's just got a whole bunch of gain, and it's solid state as well, so you don't have to worry about like tubes blowing up. But it's like, yeah, one of the best distortion sounds ever, mate, and like I love it so much. It's so good, man. So basically my Theta preamp for the distortion, and then that is basically running into my VHT 292 power amp, which is a very popular power amp that was used by Richie Sambora in the 90s with Bon Jovi, and it was also used by Paul Gilbert from Racer X. Very good like power amps. Running through that, and then goes back into Cubase, and then with that I can add my like cab impulse responses, which is based on a Marshall 4x12 with the EVM 12L speakers, which are the same speakers that Zakk Wylde like used like on the No More Tears album. So yeah, it's just and obviously with effects coming from the Helix, the delays, reverbs, and stuff like that. And it's amazing, man. It's great. Yeah, in fact, my live rig is pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is, so live, I don't use amps when going live. I go like direct. But what I do add after the theater preamp. So it's basically in the effects loop of my HX Stomp. I use like the tiny Helix. So in my studio, I'm using the rack mount version, but live I use it's called the Helix Stomp, like the baby one, and then through the effects loop I've got another like theater preamp pedal. But then after that, I use the Two Notes Engineering Torpedo Cab M Plus, and then that way it gives you like power amp emulation, mic emulation, and cabinet emulation, and then just goes front of house, and it's got like my exact tone and everything, man, like coming through like the main front of house, and it sounds amazing, sounds killer. And I've been using that for the past 4 years now. Yeah, 4 years. Exactly. I mean, if I had the budget, let's say if like I don't know, like if Midnite City were as big as like say I don't know Whitesnake or Def Leppard, and we could afford like to have like a huge massive like stage crew. It would be nice though just to like play on stage with having like I don't know like 8 4x12 cabs, like a whole load of like VHT or Friat like power amps, and get some crazy ass I don't know like 32U size like rack mount units with like Eventide stuff and like TC Electronics like rack mount gear. That'd be sick, man. That'd be awesome. So what will happen is, Rob will write a song. He'll write the lyrics, write like guitar parts, do the drums, do the bass, and then he'll send us like just like the demos of like the songs. But then what happened is we'll like go into the studio and we'll do some like tweaking. We like add our own like flair to the song. So like Sean will like come up with some like different like keyboard parts. I like to like come up with like different harmonies, or maybe just change the riffs like a tiny bit, to make him a little bit more percussive. Because I love Nuno Betancourt, man. Like he's such an awesome like riffer. So yeah, just make the riffs like a tiny bit more percussive, a little bit more like heavier, a little bit. That's basically like the writing process anyway, man. So like Rob is like the main like songwriter for like the band, but if you listen to like the demos and then listen to like the finished like tracks, it's just like night and day, man. They sound like so killer. I think what's happened, because we've had like I think we've changed lineup a little bit. Like, so our first album was originally produced by Pete Newdeck, our first like drummer, and I think basically what's happened is because the recording process was a little bit changed, and the way Pete worked, was fantastic. It was great, and what happened was where basically me and him, we'd have like Zoom calls and like come up with like little melody lines and like ideas and stuff like that. But now, obviously, with like Chris Laney, what will happen is I think basically now it's still a similar process, but instead of being me and Pete, obviously we've got a new drummer like Ryan. Now it's like me and Rob, where we'll come up with ideas and say, well, listen, I've come up with this intro melodies, I could use this. He's like, well, that sounds cool, but can you like change that note to like this note, etc., as like examples? So it's just basically like just working with different people, basically. So from Pete to like now with Rob. So yeah. Just to make it a bit more interesting, I'll do the song. Midnite City guitar that I use when it comes to like touring. It's basically very similar to like the MH327, only it hasn't got 27. It's not got 27 frets. It's got 24 frets, and no Floyd Rose, just a hardtail bridge, just in case for touring. Just makes it easier for like changing strings and stuff like that. Once again, same pickups, tone zone in the bridge, and Air Norton in the neck. Obviously, this is the humbucker version. While in my 27 fret version, that's the single coil version, but they sound exactly the same. Yeah, neck through construction as well. Real like shredder's dream. That's that guitar anyway, man. But one, in fact, I know a cool guitar that I'll like show you guys. Actually, it's like I think you guys are gonna like really dig this. So one very special guitar is this is very very special to me, and basically this was a gift from my wife. Basically, so because I'm not like that really like into like expensive like rings. However, what I do love is expensive guitars. So I had this, which is my ESP LTD custom M series custom Sonic the Hedgehog model, which is just a phenomenal instrument. As you can see, it's got the custom paint job of Sonic, and it has this like matte satin red, like I don't know if the camera's picking up, but it's got like checkered kind of pattern, and then it says in like matte satin black. I don't know if you can see that. It says like Sonic the Hedgehog in matte satin black. You got like the headstock up there. It's got the LTD logo in white. So it's very very cool. And this particular guitar's equipped with a the John Petrucci model, the Crunch Lab, and then it has a Sustainiac in the neck position. So it basically allows you to do all the silly, crazy, like eternal sustain like notes. So if I just go back and unmute myself, so here we go. Basically, it's just like a really strong, big ass magnet that basically you switch on and off. And when it's on, it's basically sending vibrations, like pulsating vibrations, which basically helps the string like resonate. So obviously, when you hit a string, you know it like bends, and then eventually it's like goes short and short and then stops. But a Sustainiac basically just keeps it so it keeps just keeps bending, basically. Just keeps doing that, just keeps bending until the battery runs out. And yeah, it's just such a fun thing to use. Obviously, Steve Vai uses one as well, and Phil Collin from Def Leppard. Yeah, they use like sustainer like style like pickups, but I had to get one for myself, man. So yeah, they're just amazingly fun. So all my guitars, I use proper, real deal, Floyd Rose originals, made in Germany. But then, however, what I do is I upgrade all the parts on it. So once again, very, very lucky, very fortunate. I'm endorsed with FU-Tone, like which do like titanium, like brass, like hardware upgrades on like Floyd Rose guitars. So Floyd Rose original plus with like so titanium like saddles, titanium blocks in the saddles, titanium bridge pins, saddle inserts. What else? Trying to think what else is on this. Also the spring claw is made of titanium. The nuts here on the locking nuts, these are made of titanium as well. I've also got heavy duty like noiseless springs. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then controls, just a single volume control. That's it. No tone. I never bother using tone controls. That's it, man. That's pretty simple. Just straightforward rock and roll, high grade, badass instrument, pretty much. Well, funnily enough, this guitar also has locking tuners. Once again, all my guitars I upgrading with locking tuners. Anyway, it just I know there's like no real point to like having locking tuners. However, there is a point to it, and the reason for that is because it makes changing strings so much easier and like kills so much time. Where on like standard tuners, you like go through the machine head, and then you have to do like the whole like wraparound thing. Well, locking tuners, you just put it in the hole, tighten it up, and then you can start tuning it up, and then that's it. That's pretty much it. So on my guitars, I always put like locking tuners like on them anyway. The Diodario ones, if you're wondering. Once again, I use the strings, so why not use their like locking tuners? That's difficult. There's too many, man. But Some of Our Lives from the first album. Ghost of My Old Friends, actually, from the first album. That's amazing as well. Here Comes the Party from the second album. That's awesome. Let's see. Third album, Atomic. That was a cool song. Really cool song. There's like so many. There's like a lot. I'm trying to think of the ones that like key, but yeah. They're obviously, I said, ready to go on this latest album. Yeah, they're like the main favorites anyway, man. But it's always fun like playing them live, and because we try and like cater for like everyone in the audience, because like we'll put like a post out saying what songs do you guys want to hear, and if there's like quite a lot of like requests for like certain songs, we will like make the effort and like play like the public's like favorite songs of all the albums anyway. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Our awesome like Japanese like fan base. Once again, just like the coolest people, coolest nationality. One of the coolest nationalities. There's loads of cool nationalities, but like, yeah, I love them, man. Like the Japanese people, and obviously the culture and everything, just phenomenal. Just everything, just yeah. The Japanese are just the best, man. So cool. The Japanese just like really like show their enthusiasm for like the music that they love. They're like such kind, amazing people, and they just show so much enthusiasm. They'll like just jump around and go crazy. Like when we played, like they just loved us, man, and they just it's in a way it's almost like they treat it like as though it's like a rave instead of a rock concert, if that makes sense. Yeah, they're amazing people, man, and even like with like the fans and the gifts that they've like given us, just absolutely mind blowing. Where I think I got the first time we went from an amazing friend and fan. They got me like a limited edition Sonic the Hedgehog like pocket watch and stuff like that. And then one time a fan also got me, because I love Sonic, but I also love like loads of the stuff like Final Fantasy and Mega Man and Devil May Cry and Resident Evil and all that cool nerdy fun stuff. But got me like merchandise from like those video games as well. And yeah, man, it's just so cool. So it's such an amazing like fan base and such awesome cool people. Oh, this. So that is my acoustic. Well, one of my acoustics anyway. It's basically it's just a. If I can get this down. Yeah, there we go. So this is basically just my electroacoustic. I've never really like owned an acoustic before. This was like recently purchased this year. This is my LTD TL6 steel string nylon acoustic. It's pretty much like just use this for like playing around with from like watching TV like downstairs in the living room. It sounds great, it's amazing, and really handy for like when you're like plug it in and recording like clean tones and stuff for like songs, and just adding like clean guitar parts pretty much. Obviously, a lot of these guitars are basically like more designed for like hard rock and like metal, but I've only very recently started to like get into like acoustic stuff recently. And yeah, so I have this one. This is my steel string. And then there's more guitars on this side as well. Bear with, I'll just put this up here. And then basically I have pretty much the same guitar, but the nylon string version as well. So because steel string and nylon guitars are like just give you different tastes, different flavors, different textures. And this is my nylon acoustic, which is obviously like very classical. Yeah, very very fun. Like learning stuff like on this, but I'm very very new to like acoustic stuff. So yeah, so these are like very very new guitars. But once again, LTD TL6. This was the TL6N for like nylon. And obviously the one behind me up there is just normal TL6, but that is a limited edition zebra wood version, so which they don't do anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, amazing guitars. Pretty much what I've got now, to be fair, man. So theta preamp, VHT power amp, shed load of like Marshall 4x12s, either equipped with like EVM 12Ls or Celestion G12 T75s. Whole like massive like rack mount with like TS Electronics 2290 delays, Eventide H3000, like rack mount units for like the choruses and the micro pitch shifting and all that kind of stuff. I'm kind of lucky, man. I've kind of like achieved my like dream rig pretty much. I'm like kind of lucky with that, man. But that's what it would be anyway. So literally, like what I'm using now, that's like my dream rig. And what's fun as well is that it makes it more unique to me, because I've never seen like another, like every band who have like supported us, or every festival we played with, like, and like seeing all like the headliners and stuff like that. I've never seen another guitar player use like the Theta preamp. And it's funny because like whenever Midnite City play, I do get quite a lot of compliments for my guitar tone, and people will say like, wow man, like what are you using? It's just like, people expect me to have some like crazy, like expensive, like tube preamp or whatever, but it's just like, no man, it's just my Theta preamp pedal. That's pretty much it, man. But yeah, it's just the best, man. So that's my dream rig anyway. Exactly, man. I mean, when we do abroad gigs, I use a if we're a little bit like stuck for like space, like when we go on flights. I'm looking at you, Ryanair. So basically, I'll take with me my Moore company called Moore GE150 multi effects unit. Dead tiny little thing, literally 2 buttons. An expression pedal. It's got a clean tone, rhythm tone, lead tone. I put all my custom impulse responses in it. Just use that live when I'm doing abroad shows, man. That's it. And then once again, just straight into front of house. That's it. And it sounds great. It sounds amazing, man. So yeah, it's cool. Obviously, it helps when you've got like a decent guitar like going through it. But the point I'm trying to make is that like you don't have to have like crazy expensive like preamps and amps and rack mount effects and pedals and stuff like that. It's crazy, like nowadays you can get like pretty much like a lot of like signature like artist tones through like a multi effects unit that costs like £150 or something like that. It's insane. Okay, guys, so so we have some upcoming shows coming up with the Amazing Sisters Doll. So the dates are, Wednesday, June 17th, we are playing in Llandudno. On June 18th, we're playing in Bridgewater. And then 21st of June, we're playing in Blackpool. And then 24th of June, we're playing in Derby. and then 25th of June we're playing in Edinburgh. However, it's not part of the tour, but Midnite City and Sister Doll were both playing at Wildfire Festival, which is in Wanlock Head. So that's still like Scotland way, and that's on June 27. So there we go. So that's it anyway. So that's our pretty much like our upcoming tour anyway. It's such a bitter pill to So this switch here just turns sustainer just on and off. So when it's off, notice the die out. And then what this switch does is the different types of sustain. So the first one, when it's like all the way up, is just like your standard normal note sustain. So when it's in the middle position is like a mix between like normal and the harmonic. And then finally it's just the full-on harmonic pickup, just harmonic mode. And then they'll just sustain forever until the battery dies out. Yeah, man, just like well, if you ever want to, the guys who like fitted this for me, who I purchased from, and they do all the extra routing for the neck pickup, because yeah, you do need to take out quite a bit of wood to install these. But it was a Manson guitars, the guys who do Matt Bellamy's signature guitars, the guy from Muse. Not really. I mean, unfortunately, it's not with me now. But one of my new guitars that's coming soon. I've done like a LTD like parts caster thing. So I've got like an LTD M50, the M53. Basically, got like the 2 humbucker Strat with a rosewood fretboard, and then a maple fretboard version. But it's humbucker 2 single coils. And I just swapped the next round, so it's a maple fretboard with 2 humbuckers and a vintage style bridge with a Babix bridge. Very lucky to be endorsed with Babix. They do amazing bridges, and that's coming soon. However, with that guitar, I did spray paint the guitar body myself, and there was no problems, no issues. However, what I did do accidentally, which I to be fair, I had no idea they had to do this. So when you're doing adding layers of paint on a body, every time you add a layer of paint, you're meant to like sand the body down a little bit, and then do another coat of paint, and then sand, and then paint, and then sand, and then spray, etc. But I didn't sand in between coats, and basically the result of this, where it makes the paint job like quite like fragile, and it can like easily like break. But it's not all that bad, because to be fair, my what I was going for with this guitar, I was going for like a relic look. I've never like had like any like heavy relicing on any of my guitars before, but apparently this is a very popular technique that a lot of guitar companies do with like paint jobs, where if you don't sand in between coats, it can like make it turn to like a relic look, if that makes sense. All-time favorite riff.